Hi there again, it's Marie. I was talking about electronic interference and monitoring earlier. Let's get going with that. That's my topic today. Monitoring electronic interference, phone calls, listening in the phone calls, text messages, spying on and spying in, emails on phone monitoring, not allowing emails to go through, etc. Emails to media, to lawyers, to investigators, etc., etc. These are all things I experienced in the last 5 years, and yeah, that's pretty gruesome. So, and any camera, um, any cameras in the house, the monitoring. Um, did you know that now you can actually, well, now it's been a while now, for a number of years, you're anybody that's got some dollars to spare, like lots of dollars to spare, can actually rent space on satellites that goes around, and there's tons going around. So you can rent space and you can monitor or record what people are doing. This is nothing new. Some, at the time when I was talking about this, it's because I had some knowledge of it for some reason that I'm not going to disclose. However, um, this shit's real. People do that on a daily. And yeah, you can rent space on any of the satellite and for X amount of time, or for a whole day or a whole night or a whole afternoon, or for 2 3 hours, and you can see what anybody is doing. You can point on their house and just stay there. It's crazy. That's what it is. So your movements, it monitors your movements. Um, Monitoring your movement can happen on your phone. It can happen on your vehicle, because now we have GPS positioning on every vehicle, and you have video and cameras in the vehicle that enable anybody to know where you're going, what you're doing, who you're talking to. They have access to your mic on your vehicle. Yeah, it's all James Bond shit, but that's truth, and that happens. And I discovered it myself with a bunch of tech friends that helped me out with that. Arriving, leaving a location, that can be done on your phone or your vehicle, the GPS positioning, what you're doing on your land. If you're building something, if you're walking around, if you got people there, they can see that with the people at top. And so yeah, I'm checking what's happening at the same time. I'm trying to be very quick because the TikTok right now, I'm not at 1,000 yet. I'm hoping soon it'll happen so that I can go live. But I only got a few minutes, like 10 minutes. So, and I'm gonna keep going on this with other short clip. But what you're doing on your land with people, what's happening at home. Yeah, they were aware of all this. The proof's in the pudding. Um, Prior to my conversation with my husband, I was on my way home with my equipment, blah, 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 blah. I had like 3 little companies and one big one. Anyhow, I worked my ass off. I'm very handy. I know how to do things. I'm not, I grew up with brothers, and I just happen to be smart. So I do things. And I'm from the land, so you have to know how to do things if you're going to be stuck there for a while in the north. Anyhow, so just to give you a brief run through when my husband killed himself, um, and I'll get into that like in another video a little bit later. I'm still, getting used to this video stuff. Anyhow, I talked to my husband 10 minutes prior to arriving home. We lived on the land in the country, like about 30 minutes outside of Calgary, and I was about 10 minutes away from home at the junction of 22. Some of you won't know what I'm talking about here, but yeah. So it was 10 minutes away from my home. And I spoke to him. I said, well, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And the conversation we had was about, because during COVID, there was some issues with financial. We didn't have huge issues. We had huge issues because these people were taken from us. But we wouldn't have had all these issues. But he felt, and that was one of the thing on the letters, but there was some other suspicious things, and I'll talk about that some other time. But that 10 minutes was like, I just said, okay, well, you sound upset now. We need to talk about this. How are we going to deal with that? And he was like, I'm working on it. And he never speaks to me like that. He never did. We never talked to each other that way. And he said, I said, are you okay? He says, yeah. I said, well, okay, love you. I'll be there soon. So I was 10 minutes away. I got there. Upon arriving, my husband was nowhere to be found. The office was empty. I didn't go in, but I looked in the window. I parked at the first gate and I went second gate. And while I went home, I ran through from the office to the land to my house. And my mother was there because my mother was relocating. I was trying to put her in her own place. She was staying with us for a while. And I said, have you seen my husband? She says, no. I said, well, at 4:30 when I left with the kids, with my son, my oldest son was going to do some work in town. I said, he was in the bathroom. She goes, yeah, he went to the office. And then I haven't seen him since then. So I said, well, I thought he'd be in the house having, coffee and some toast and go back to the office. Well, he wasn't. So I looked around. I was running all over. And then finally I went in the office and I was like, well, he didn't look well yesterday. I'm going to go check behind the file cabinets. He wasn't there. And then I found all the documents there, his keys, his phone, and everything. And then I thought he just left because I couldn't read properly what was happening. I was just in panic. And I got outside and started running all over and screaming his name. And I said, you can't just leave. If there's a problem, we need to sit down, talk about it, and we'll find a solution. And I couldn't find him. And then I said, well, I'm going to go find him. I'm going to untie my rig and I'm going to go with my truck on the highway and try to find him. And I went towards the shed where it was located on the path to get to the gate. And I noticed it was unlocked. And when I opened it, he was hanging there. So yes, I had to go do some therapy, some EMD, some high movement desensitization so I could sleep and I could function and make sense of all this. And then, but anyhow, when I found him, I was pounding the ground and my phone kept binging. And I looked and it was the Dwayne show, right? And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And I knew I was being watched because when I'd leave home and I'd come back, I would get it pinged, welcome home. I was like, oh, you're getting kind of creepy. So you need to stop doing that or whatever. You do what you want. And now I looked at my text after I took a deep breath and the authority was called and everything. And I was asked, what's happening? What's going on? They already knew what's happening. Well, maybe they didn't see what was happening in the shed, but anyways, they knew what was going on a little bit. And then I told him and them, Jeff just hung himself, and I have no time to talk to you. You need to give me my money now. And then he said, well, you have to finish paying this for me to give you your money. And what do you mean? You need to give me a picture of him hanging so I know you're not stalling to pay. Then I was pissed off. I threw my phone so far away on the land. I didn't want nothing to do with it. But anyhow, so this is the kind of crap that people can do to you, and they need some dollars to do that. And nowadays, you need a little less dollars, but you still need some dollars to do some of that crap if you're going to monitor somebody 24/7. Anyhow, I'll talk to you on the next little video because it's been 10 minutes.